Welcome in. Hello, YouTube. This is Captain Calhoun speaking, and you are on the lifeboat. I once again hit the start button before I was completely ready, so that's why I'm looking away. But I'm good to go now. Well, now I'm good to go. Boom! Let's go. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome in. How you doing? I see Millie the Dandelion has finished up work already. Lucky you. Lucky you. Robin Miners. I like that thumbnail. That's pretty cool. Flick Fox, Dale Cox, what's going on? Shannon Smith, Guacaholic, TKK, Mile High Hokey, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome in. Good to see you. Sarah Browett, hello. Body Illusion, what is going on, y'all? Scrolling, and Carnosol, what is going on? Hello. Jane Aldrich, I Live for Now. Brianna Miller. April Goodson, Blessed to Crochet. Heck yeah, the gang's all here. Hattie Knight, hello. Kathy Ann, handling nap time. I bet you're doing the best of nap time jobs. I could use some nap time. I just got up, I have to say. My sleep habits are out of sorts. Lord Kiss Freak, what is going on? I missed you, dude. It's been a while. I was asking about you the other day. Figured you were just busy at work and whatnot. Tina Marie, hello. Good to see you. The Audrey, hello. Audrey, the sassy Parisian, what is going on from Paris, France? Heck yeah, I'm glad you made it. I'm super glad you found us. Huzzah, hello. All right, guys, Nana of 2, what's going on? Candy's Life. Heck yeah, guys. We're going to talk about some boundaries today. One of my favorite topics. We're going to set some. We are going to teach people how to treat us by setting boundaries when we realize we don't want people certain places or people doing certain things or people treating us certain ways, right? We'll have a stimulus, right? It's like, oh, I just had this thought. I probably don't want them treating me like that. So then you say something to them. Hey, please don't treat me that way. Or I don't know, maybe you need to say it a little less nice and more assertive. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that to me again. If you value our friendship, there are a lot of ways to set boundaries. In fact, there are about as many ways to set boundaries as there are different ways to say the same thing in a language. You can pretty much say set a boundary infinite different ways. So you may need some examples, and we will get to those, I guess, a little later, towards the end. We'll talk about some boundaries. We'll talk about some examples of some boundaries, and then I'll open it up to some questions. The last time that we did a boundaries show, there were lots of really good questions that I did not get through all of them. So I wonder if this will be as thought-provoking this time. And I will cease to speak like a robot. Well, I certainly need this one, says Millie. Guacaholic says, you find out who your real friends are when you start establishing and sticking to, that's the very key portion there, sticking to boundaries. Absolutely. And if they don't stick around, they weren't real friends, huh? Who needs them? Got back Tuesday night. Man, I bet you're happy to be home and ready to keep the feet elevated. I like putting the feet up and leaving them there myself. That's one of my favorite things. One of my favorite things. But yeah, guys, boundaries. Boundaries are very important, not only on the road to recovery, but just for social interactions in general. I am a giver. I am a nice person. I have lots of love. I have an overflowing abundance of love. But that nicety can be misconstrued for naivety and also can be very easily taken advantage of if I'm not staying present, if I'm not aware, if I'm not setting firm boundaries, right? If I don't know where I stand, or if I'm afraid to stand my ground, or if I don't have confidence in setting boundaries, people are going to inevitably walk right through my boundaries, like the tape. Or I don't know if it was a sign or tape on the thumbnail. I looked at both, but if there was caution tape around a residence, and you are the residence, and some stranger just walks right through that caution tape, that's a person not respecting your boundaries. Yeah. Huzzah says, I'm trying so hard to set up boundaries, but I'm being ridiculed for them, that I'm too sensitive or whatever. And I say, yeah, I'm fresh out of an abusive marriage, I'm sensitive, and it doesn't work. Well, I tell you what, it's not for other people to decide whether or not your boundaries are valid. It's for them to respect or not respect. And they've chosen in this specific situation to not respect your boundaries. So in that situation, when we set clear boundaries and they're not respected, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't have all the details, but you said you're trying to set boundaries. It sounds like you're setting boundaries firmly and they're being ignored and ridiculed and not validated. So we're left with few options at that point, right? We set the boundary, that's the right thing to do. If they don't want to respect that boundary, well, we don't have to be in your space then, right? We don't have to hang out with you. I don't know if who you're talking about is your significant other. I hope it's not, because significant others not respecting your boundaries is a pretty big flag. And there's small issues and there's big issues, right? There's a myriad, there's levels to this stuff. But the simple principle, the simple fact of like, look, this is how I want to be treated and this is how I don't want to be treated. And then whoever I'm telling that to says, that's stupid, they're stupid. Screw them. That's how I feel. If I set a firm boundary and you don't want to respect it, I don't want to respect you. That's how I feel about it. Mo Love, what's going on? I see you. Got me a couple Reapers. I'm going to load up with Tincture. Let's go. We got some Gushers going this morning, Dale. I have yet to do a Gusher. I have been aspiring to do so ever since I got into the hot stuff. One day my tolerance will be high enough. I need to consistently be consuming the stuff, though. And with my mouth trouble, it's hard to do that. And also, I have to admit, I'm having some abdominal troubles. I don't know if it's definitely diet related, but there's probably other factors going on. So it's kind of hard to put hard stuff through that system when that system's not really doing very well at all to begin with. So I look forward to being super healthy so I can start pushing the boundaries again, I have to say. Otter Dancer 64. What's going on? Welcome in. You didn't really know about boundaries until 2017, DeAudrey? Well, I'm glad you know about them now. They are essential. Have you employed them in your life effectively since learning? I'm not weak, I am nice. That's right, Shannon. It takes a lot more strength to temper your love than it does to be angry and reckless, and things that we associate with power are actually not very powerful. They're just misunderstood. Brianna Miller says setting boundaries are so hard when you are a people pleaser, but I'm working on it. I tell you what, I know this struggle very well. That's what I was trying to say earlier when I said all that stuff. I'm a lover, I'm a this. I was looking for those words. People pleaser. I'm a people pleaser. Thank you for saying this. That reminds me of where I was going with all of this conversation. I'm a people pleaser. And because of that, it's very easy to let people walk on me, right? And it doesn't necessarily start as someone crashing through my boundaries, right? It starts as me giving a little bit, giving a little bit more, giving a little bit more. And, maybe I'm just forming a relationship or, building a friendship with this person, right? So they're learning about me every time I make one of these decisions and I give a little bit more. They're like, oh, okay, it's fine. Oh, okay, it's fine. Oh, okay, it's fine. And if they don't have good self-discipline or, self-awareness, wherewithal, they're not going to realize that they're taking and taking and taking. They're not going to realize that they're going to think they're not going to find anything wrong with their behavior because you haven't told them that there's anything wrong with their behavior. Because when you're forming a friendship, when you're learning about a person, when y'all are learning about each other, you kind of teach each other how you're going to interact. Your first interactions, and honestly, all of your interactions are foreshadowing for how the rest of your interactions are going to go, right? You're kind of figuring out how your interactions are going to go with your initial interactions. In fact, I have a great example for this. Me and my buddy Jake, you guys know Jake. Um, we've been friends for a very long time, and we have a very colorful friendship. We've never like had a fist fight or anything, which is strange. We may have if certain circumstances that I'm not going to talk about weren't present. But I'm grateful that we never got in a fight. Some of my best friends started with a fist fight, which is very strange. But we've had lots of arguments and disagreements. But we both communicate. We both are intelligent. We're thinkers, right? So we have both also taken extreme lengths and extreme amounts of time and patience to try and meet each other in the middle and understand over the years. I don't know, 10 years. I don't know how long we've known each other. It's been a long time, but throughout that time, if one of us crossed the other's boundaries, which honestly to this day still happens, it's not intentional, right? But we're like different kind of cactuses. Like we like kind of want to give each other a hug, but we're like both really prickly. I don't have a great metaphor, but like we matter a lot to each other. So when there's the boundary thing comes up, which it does a lot with us because I don't know, for some reason we kind of rub each other sometimes, right? But the point is we respect each other's boundaries. We do our best. We go out of our way to respect each other's boundaries because we're both very sensitive individuals. We're both very proud individuals, very intelligent, opinionated. So being a people pleaser is how I got into that. Being a people pleaser, you might have to work a little harder, I guess is what I was trying to say. And honestly, the way that I did that personally was to just be knowledgeable about myself, right? Know myself well. So I know it's pretty obvious to me when I'm being stepped on, right? Or when my boundaries aren't being respected or when I'm failing to set them, right? It's pretty fairly obvious when things aren't right, right? So from that place, it's like, okay, wait, I must not have boundaries or something. These interactions all suck. Well, from there we figure out why that's going on. Why are things not right? And if it is because you're not setting boundaries, why haven't you set the boundary? Is it just that you haven't realized it? Is it that you're struggling to find the words? Is it that you're struggling to find the confidence to say the words in an effective manner? Right? What's the holdup? This definitely isn't something that comes natural to everyone, and it might not be something that comes natural to anyone. I don't know. It's definitely a learned behavior, and it requires practice, especially because, again, we're all different and unique. Everyone's unique. Everyone's had their own unique experience in life and in the world. So communicating with people is an art form because everyone is at a different place that you need to meet them in a conversation, right? So I think setting boundaries is kind of like that. I think setting boundaries is something that we learn, something that we practice, and something that is going to be different between every situation and between every person. Kevin Hawthorne, good morning. Good sir. Anna Banana, welcome in. This one's for you, Spanx. Here we go. I bet you're getting a little sizzling in your ears going on. I have not been on antibiotics, Kathy. Thanks for asking. That is a good thought. I have been on antibiotics since moving here to Arizona. I was on quite a bit. Remember when I first got here, when I first started doing the boat? What is going on in my sinuses? I took like a bunch because the first time they did it wrong or something. I forget what the deal was, but I definitely erased everything inside my gut biome when I first got here. And then afterwards, I don't think that I rebuilt it properly. I think there's probably too much dairy in my diet, not enough vegetables, and not enough fiber. But we're working on it. We're figuring it out. Cooking with the grandma. Welcome in. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Good morning from sunny New Hampshire. Kathy Kewen, thank you so much. Always such a pleasure. I really appreciate you. Saw a bumper sticker years ago that said, "You deserve what you accept." It kind of stopped me in my tracks. Yeah, that is a showstopper right there, I have to say. You deserve what you accept. And you decide what you deserve. Did you guys know that? You set your own value. You set your own worth. You get to say, you're in charge. Novel concept, huh? I'm very far up in chat, but that's only because I'm enjoying myself so much. Shards of words. Hello there. I almost said swords. I don't know why. Morning, y'all. Listening while getting dressed and such. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you said this, Shannon. Shannon says, I'm definitely a people pleaser, but not as much anymore. I respect myself more now. It is definitely a self-respect thing and a self-worth thing, which are both things that I have struggled with massively. Obviously, I'm in a different place right now, right? I'm not perfect, but I'm not having a whole bunch of trouble with that stuff these days. I definitely have historically had a boatload, ha ha ha, of trouble with self-respect and self-worth. And it's not the easiest thing to build up, especially when it's something you're probably doing in your self-talk all the time. When I say self-talk, that's how you speak to yourself in your head, right? You're either negative or positive self-talk. So I know for a fact that I am very, very good at the negative self-talk. I can put myself down with the best of them. In fact, the way that I speak to myself a lot of the times is abhorrent. It's terrible. And I realize this, and I'm trying to work on that and change how I'm speaking to myself, because that in itself is tied directly to my self-worth, especially if I'm constantly putting myself down and self-deprecating. How am I going to feel worthy other times when I'm constantly telling myself, bad stuff? You ever think about that? So again, this comes back to the I've said on here before, 90% of our thoughts are subconscious. That means we're not in control of them and we're not aware of them. They're just under the surface, right? And if our thoughts make up our reality, then 90% of our reality is out of our control. So that 10% of your thoughts that you're aware of and that you have control over all of a sudden becomes very important if you want to change your reality, right? So how the thoughts that I think and the words that I say and how I speak to myself, how I think, all of that contributes to my worldview, contributes to my perspective, contributes to how I see the world around me. I'm just losing my place a lot today, and I hate it. I'm just going to move on and act like I wasn't going anywhere. I'm getting better at respecting others' boundaries, but still having some trouble keeping my own. I have to say, I know the feeling. I'm getting better at respecting others' boundaries, but still having some trouble keeping my own. And no, it starts somewhere, right, Deaudrey? So you're headed in the right direction. You're doing great. You're doing just fine. Another thing for me, one of my greatest not strengths is patience. I'm not a very patient person, and I know that that's not very becoming. So I'm working on it, right? But that being said, um, learning this stuff takes a lot of patience. Like learning new stuff, especially after we've learned it the wrong way and been doing it that way for so long, is not the easiest thing to do. Like rewriting the disk drive of my brain is not the simplest thing. It requires constant over and over and over. I have to constantly assert, like, okay, this is the way we're doing it now. This is how this works. We're not doing this the old way anymore. It is definitely an exercise in diligence and patience. So that being said, you're doing great. Yeah, I'm guessing most of us in the chat are people pleaser, says Otter Dance. I would tend to agree, but I don't know. Who knows? You know, I am pleasantly surprised quite often. So I'm open. I'm open to it being a different setup here. I fear that if I set boundaries, says Audrey, with my loved one, I won't be loved the same way. Why do you say I'm weak this was? I don't know what you mean by that last sentence. But this first part, I fear that if I set boundaries with my loved one, I won't be loved the same way, is a totally valid fear. And by the way, while I'm saying that, all of the emotions that you experience are valid, right? You're feeling them for a reason. You don't feel stuff that's fake. It might be misdirected. Like if I have a fight or flight response, it might be like my ancient caveman brain reacting to my fear of not being able to pay the rent. You know what I mean? Like that happens. Anxiety is just your caveman brain not operating in the modern world properly. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that being said, um, this emotion and feeling is valid, Audrey. And I'm not saying it's valid because, I don't know if there's danger of that or not, right? But I do have to say, if they love you, they're going to respect your boundary, Audrey. You know what I mean? And the fear of not being loved the same way is something that's very close to my heart. I've always feared not being worthy, not being a part of, or not being good enough, not being loved. Um, and I have to say, no matter how strong that fear was inside me, it was always misled. It never I was never in a position where I wasn't loved. I was never in a position like that. Like no matter how much I felt that way, which is very strange, right? I don't want you to feel like you can't trust your instincts, but I would set the boundaries and this know that this person loves you, right? And if they don't want to respect your boundaries, they don't. Screw them then, right? And I don't know. I don't know your situation, and I don't want to be harsh, but I can relate with what you're saying, and I encourage you to set the boundary because otherwise you're compromising constantly, and that's going to change the dynamic of your relationship over a period of time. Anyways, thank you for speaking up, Audrey. I really appreciate that. I hope that I've helped. I hope that I can help. Nicola E, what is going on? I'm at an event, but trade is slow. So checking in. Well, I hope that trade picks up. I hope you make some dough today, Nicola. It we all could use a little bit more dough in the pocket, I think. Tina Marie, what is going on? Wow, I'm so far up. TKK says, the older I get, the tighter my boundaries get. But I was born cynical. For me, it's an arm length and respect. I totally, totally agree. And I'm definitely a cynic as well. In fact, that's part of like my negative self talk. Is like I'm such a cynic. I'm cynical of myself, um, which I don't necessarily think is good. Wow, I'm so far up. We're talking about fistfights still. Aaron in Austin, what is going on? Good morning. I've been told I'm sensitive my whole life. One family member in particular. Well, if they know I'm so sensitive, then why don't they take that into consideration? I tell you what, some people and their children. No, I'm just kidding. But no, for real though, some people. It's interesting. It's good that you can laugh at it though, right? We're all friends here. I'm sorry to slurp right on you guys. I sometimes I do that. This isn't a dinner table, even though I have dinner at it a lot. Oh wow. I was just so far up in chat that I read your first one upon my first seeing it. Sorry that took so long, Audrey. I fear if I set certain boundaries with loved ones, I won't be heard or loved the same way, even respected. So I don't have much boundaries in my life. I encourage you to change that. I definitely encourage you to change that. Makes sense. That makes sense, Tina. Oh, Kathy Ann says, I had to set hard boundaries for the first time when I had my eldest, and again when I had my youngest. The ones who may not have liked but respected what I wanted are still around. The others are not. There you go. Heck yeah, Kathy Ann. That's good. Brianna Miller says, my sister has narcissistic tendencies and the world revolves around her. So trying to set boundaries with her is so difficult because she hates hearing no. This can be a difficult thing. And at the end of the day, these boundaries can be very simple and easy because it really comes down to three steps. I set the boundary, well, two steps. I set the boundary. Well, no, yeah, three steps. I set the boundary. They're either respected or not, and then I act accordingly, right? If they're respected, all is hunky dory. We move on. If they're not respected, I don't have to be around you anymore. And with family members, like it becomes difficult at family functions. We have to find like a way that we can be amiable, but like we will come to a place where this family member understands that I'm not going to put up with their crap, and they're probably not going to bring it to me because they're not having fun bringing it to me anymore. You know, um, with family it can be complicated, but I have to say the boundaries can become very simple if you get in the habit of doing so. I set the boundary, I see the response, I act accordingly, right? And the response is either like I respect your boundary or I don't. There's really no in betweens. Like there's a million different situations, infinite unique different situations that we're talking about, but it's either, I'm telling you, black and white. It's either respected or it's not. Maybe they have questions, right? But like, look, if you want to pick apart my boundary, you can get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Like, look, this is simple. Don't do this because it doesn't make me happy. You know what I mean? And it's that simple. They either respect it or they don't. If they have a bunch of words to say, that's a no. I'm not respecting it. And if they say, okay, I'll do my best. Now that's respecting the boundary, right? There's a huge difference, and there's two responses. One of the responses can look a million different ways. One of the responses is okay, right? The other response can sound like a million different things, but it's always, no, I'm not going to respect your boundary. So through that lens, even with family, like obviously I want this to be different, right? I want our relationship to be great. I want to have a fantastic relationship with my family, but it's a two-way street. Like I'm not going to do all the work. I'm not going to do all the lifting. And if you want to be a spoiled brat, I don't need you in my life. And that's how I feel. I'm not saying that's how you should feel. I don't know how you feel. You feel how you feel. The trick now is to come to terms with how you feel, accept it, and then, set your boundaries. Also fear that you'll be cut off and abandoned. Absolutely. And, it's a valid fear. Maybe come to find out, none of your friends are real friends. That may be the case, especially if you're living the life. It's probably a high probability that, your real friends are far and few between. But, I mean, what are your options? Are you going to continue to live how you're living? Or are you going to continue to associate with these people who don't actually love you? Like just the knowledge that they're not real friends, isn't that enough to not want them around? Why? Why have them around? Are they a tool? Are you using them as a tool, right? Are they using you as a tool? If they don't actually love you, what the heck is going on? What are we doing here? Right? What are we doing? 60 days. Oh my gosh. The trip's captain. Oh man, I did that once after a bad infection. 60 days on Augmentin, which, if y'all don't know, that is an antibiotic. That's a long time, brother. I don't want to get too graphic, but my gut was not exactly digesting food for a while. I bet, dude. I bet. Holy crap. You're not supposed to really. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how long you're supposed to do antibiotics, but good Lord, 2 months, man. I'm glad you're okay. You're okay, right? Is your gut digesting? Okay, you said for a while, so I assume it's working good now. Well, that's good. I want to skip to the bottom because I think we're having two different conversations now. But I guess I should skim just in case there's something important. Catherine McMartin. Hey, y'all. What happened to Tommy? I've been gone for a while. Well, Tommy's doing the evening shows still. I am Spanx Calhoun. I am his son. And now we kind of split the bill here. Sometimes we do shows together. Sometimes we mix it up. Sometimes he's in the morning. Sometimes I'm at night. But mostly I do mornings and he does the evenings now. So if you're looking for the Admiral tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific time, he'll be on here talking up a storm. You know how he does. Thank you for saying this, Body Illusion. Spanx, this clean world is still new, and you will learn your new body as well as mental. Body problems hid by outside stimulus are gone. That's right. And I think the farther along this path I go, the more I'm going to fully understand the damage that I've done to myself, is what I'm talking about specifically. But obviously, all of the damage will make more sense. But what a heavy thought. Hate that thought so much. But the trick is to not run from it, just to look it in the face and be like, "Yep, I know, I know." Spanx, have you tried taking a photo of you as a nipper? I've got one of me out, and it's really hard to talk about into the mini version. That's not a bad idea. You guys seen this? That's me and my mom. I think it's the Hoover Dam, but I don't know. Maybe the Grand Canyon. It got blurrier when I got closer. Hmm. Memory lane. One fondly and often traveled. Oh my gosh, I'm not very good at this today, guys. I have a lot on my mind. I apologize. Kathy Kewen, thank you so much. Your unending support is just so beautiful. Flickfox says, I'm recently aware of where I should set my boundaries. My problem is I genuinely get joy out of putting others before me. I'm not religious, but I feel my purpose is to serve others even if it hurts me. Well, Flickfox, the thing is you can serve others without it hurting you. So why would you have to put yourself in that position, right? I think there's two things at play here, um, and that you're misconstruing them for one thing. But that being said, again, I think it's totally possible to do this without hurting yourself. The hurting yourself part is optional. Sharon Dixon. Hi, Captain. My son was a victim of domestic violence. Once he got out and we talked about it, I told him that he should work on loving himself. Then others will see his personal boundaries clearly. I think you're onto something there, Sharon. Let me keep your son in my thoughts for sure. For sure, for sure. Let's get some ones up right now for anyone who needs them out there. For my brain today, if I could get maybe my laser beam focus ends today. Maybe today I swing the other way. Maybe that's what I'm experiencing. Who knows? DD Razzle Dazzle, what's going on? Welcome in. I'm glad you're here. Look at that cute little kitty. Cat loves cat skills. Well, I tell you what, if you hang out long enough, you definitely will. It happens quite often around here. Cag, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm glad you're still out there living your best life. Oof. You ever just need to kind of move it around in there? I will give one caveat, says the trip's captain. Setting boundaries can feel empowering. This feeling of empowerment nearly led me to refuse to do anything nice for anyone if it was inconvenient for me. There's a middle ground. Absolutely. Absolutely. As there's an extreme of, letting people walk on you and having no boundaries, there's the other opposite extreme of having too many boundaries, right? I think the key with the boundaries is to find a nice middle ground where I can live my life, be comfortable, be happy, and, stick up for myself. That's the goal. That's the goal. And I mean, obviously, it would be wonderful if we were all walking on water and, just not having to do anything we didn't want to do. But sadly, that's not the world that we live in. I'm sure that that was unsustainable, and you ended up coming back around to the middle ground, right? Sometimes I find that when I'm living in an extreme, in order to find the middle ground, I have to hit the other wall first. I have to like boop and then come back to the middle. So I don't know if that's what you had experienced. I don't know if that has anything to do with what with your pattern, but um, yeah, dude, thanks for bringing that up. I have to say you are right. You're correct. That's correct. Absolutely, Audrey. I hope that it helps. Please let me know how it goes next time I see you, or whenever whenever we see how it plays out. And you can always, if you need to ask me more personal questions or anything like that, if there's something you want to talk about you don't want to share online, you can email me at sober@myyahoo.com. You can get in the comments section. Obviously, that's for other people to see, but the emails is just me. My dad will read some of them as well, but um, he has a lot less time to do so than I do. Yeah, narcissists and boundaries are like oil and water for sure, 100%. And that might be a situation where you have to constantly set the boundary and he's going to constantly give feedback, right? That might be the dynamic that you fall into, but it's better than him like letting him walk on you, you know? It's definitely an uncomfortable interaction that we're probably going to avoid as much as possible, right? Because if that's how it's going to be, why would I, waste my time? But that being said, he's your family. He's probably going to be around now and again, right? So don't let him walk on you. Even if he doesn't want to respect your boundaries, firmly set them. And maybe with people like that, sometimes you need to shock them. I don't know what exactly the nature of the boundary is, but for example, if like my narcissistic brother wants to just show up at my house unannounced, or like maybe I'm out of town and he just uses my place, right? Like he owns the joint because we're family or whatever, and he thinks that he can do that. If I have set this boundary many times and he continues to not respect it, maybe I'll just call the cops the next time. You know, it's like, hey, there's an intruder in my home, kind of thing. Like, well, I mean, I like immediately want to backtrack. I would never call the cops on my family. But there's got to be a way to shock him. There's got to be a way to shock him, you know? And I don't mean hurt him or anything like that, but like, kind of snap the fingers in his brain. Okay, I don't want to do that anymore. I didn't like how that played out. Um, and maybe it's not possible, right? Maybe it's not worth the trouble of trying to shock him. Maybe it's just accept. But I tell you what, people like that, especially people like that in my family, we don't get along very well. And we can be amiable, but if they want to play those games with me, I'm going to let them know how I feel about it. And because it's a recurring issue, it's not the same conversation every time we have it. The next time we have it, it's going to be ridiculous because I'm sick of having it. Like, are you a child? We're going to have the same conversation. I don't like this happening. I don't want this happening. And you continually do it. You either don't care or you're doing it on purpose to get a rise out of me, both of which are unacceptable. So, anyways, I get pretty riled up about this stuff. Like boundaries are real simple, and a lot of people don't respect them, and that makes me mad. That makes me mad. It's very easy. It's very easy. If I went and started, disrespecting your boundaries, you would have a heyday. You would lose your mind. But you don't think about it that way. You don't put the shoe on the other foot. You just live your life. And that's, if that person had presence of mind, they were sitting in the present moment thinking, oh, I wonder how this is making them feel. It's like it would be so much easier to walk through and communicate and work out, but people aren't doing that. People aren't present in the moment. People are just robots. So, anyways, not everybody, obviously, but this is a big issue. Wow, I was so far up in chat, it's disgusting. Roberta, what is going on? I'm currently trying to set boundaries with this new little kitty, says Brianna. but she's so cute and it's hard. Well, that'll happen, I have to say. I think that's a perfect example of not having the discipline to set your own boundaries. And I mean, it's a cat, right? It's a perfect example because it doesn't really matter. It's so cute. It's a little kitty, right? But I mean, that's why it's a perfect example because it's not so serious. We can use that language. Um, yeah. If it was important, see, when I put myself in that position, I find myself thinking, if it was important, I would set the boundary properly. But then, like, would I really though? I don't know because in this moment, I'm not setting the boundary and I'm choosing to do so, right? Which is fine, which is fine. But just stuff that I think about, stuff that's thoughts that circulate through my head. Magic of healing, Jimena, good to see you and good morning. Boundaries need to be as firm and as flexible as possible as long as you don't compromise your self respect. Firm enough to not let people walk over them, but flexible to be able to compromise if needed. Wow, you really have a way with words, Jimena. You know, I think I think you have a gift. You definitely know what you're talking about. Look, Fox is feeling very confused. What's going on? Here, let me read your stuff. Pardon me, pardon me. Making sure there's not a part one. Back down. Matrix Rabbit, I see you. Being happy while someone I love is struggling just doesn't feel right. If I know I can help them, but it's going to cause me stress, sleepless nights, tears, I don't know. Isn't that what good humans should do? You know, that's for you to decide. I have to say that I can relate with that feeling. I definitely feel that way sometimes, a lot of times, honestly. But I find that most humans do not live that way. And that doesn't mean that I should live differently, right? Because other people don't, you know? And the should word is dangerous. It's like, we should do this. Well, nobody's doing it. What's the point of the should word? Um, but it is, I think it is what humans should do. And it is the right thing to do. But again, you shouldn't have to cause yourself stress, sleepless nights, and tears. I think that that may have be the only way that you've known, and you are having a hard time picturing it other ways. I don't know if you're attached to the stress, sleepless nights, and tears. Some people are. Um, but if you could get rid of them, would you? Right? If you could give those away, would you? And it doesn't mean giving away the helping people. It just means you don't have to be stressing and not sleeping and crying because of the help that you give. If you could have it that way, would you? That's my question to you. Well, I tell you what, Kristen Melinda. Well, here, Kristen says setting boundaries with someone with narcissist personality disorder is different. They are likely to continue pushing the issue because they must always have control. I tell you what, it's really, really easy for me to show this narcissist that they have zero control over me. And I have control over me, so that's the only way that I can show that, right? I can't show them that they don't have control over everything else because I don't have control over anything except myself, right? But like, look, if you want to have control over me, I can just leave the situation. I could just physically leave. And that's a really easy way. Like, look, you can't stop this from happening. Bye, you know? And often, I think setting boundaries with narcissists is useless. Why are you setting boundaries with narcissists? Get them out of your space. And I mean, I kind of want to take that statement back. Maybe you're working with a narcissist, right? Maybe you didn't place this narcissist in your life. Maybe they just showed up, right? Maybe you don't have control over whether they're there or not, and you it's just left to you to deal with them on a daily basis, right? Which would suck. But I'm sure that there's people out there that are in that situation. And you know, I would go out of my way to show them that you're not under their control. You know, not only are you not under their control, but literally never have you been and never will you be. They have literally zero control over you. Um, and I would try to show them that, even with like the little ways that we communicate. Like if I don't know, yeah, I don't do well with narcissists, but I don't do well with games. I'm not a game player. I'm very straightforward. You know, if you want to dance around and do a dance, go go hit the dance floor. That's not what we're doing here. Yeah, that's a good point, Jimena. It's not always possible to remove narcissists from your life, like when you're co-parenting, like I am with my son's father. This is true. This is very true. Wow, this has been a very powerful show. I find myself evaluating my boundaries in the back of my head right now. Um, which it doesn't like, help me do this show. I tell you what, it does help me process through stuff, but I see you, Kiss Freak. I'll check it out. Nice meeting you, Catherine. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here. Looking for Kag's comment? Charlie Mullins. I hope you're having a great day. I hope this message finds you well, buddy. I'm just reading all the stuff, y'all. There's so much to read. Have a great day at work, Trips Captain. Wow. I'm just lost in the sauce here. What was I looking for? Kag's comment? I wish there should be a search function. I could literally install a search function in here. If only I knew how to program. So I guess basically what I'm saying is I can't, but it would be friggin' easy to program a search function. Okay, I'm almost there. I just saw the thanks for the support. Maybe I already read it? Oh my lord, nope. Oh my lord, Cat. I'm so sorry to hear that. I don't think I'm gonna read that out loud. I hope you don't mind. I think it's bad form for me to read that. But I'm very sorry to hear that. Let's put some ones up for you, your friend's family, um, and anyone involved. I'm so sorry to hear that. This tattoo right here is for my dead friend. I'm doing good, Matrix Rabbit. Thanks for asking. I had an interesting morning, and then we started doing this show, and it became amazing. One of my favorite shows I've done recently, and now it was so great that I'm like lost in my head thinking, and I'm trying to get back into the focus zone. But I think I was saying like of like being very focused and then being very kind of aloof. I think I may have crossed the threshold into the aloof side today. That might be what's going on because I'm definitely feeling much less focused. I've been pretty focused for about 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half. Who knows? I'm trying to log these things. I'm trying to notice, trying to get to know myself better so that I can move through the world more efficiently, more effectively, right? Um, and this is something that's been going on as long as I can remember. Now that I'm sober, clear minded, I'd like to wield my power as good as possible, as to as much effect as possible. I'd like to hone my mind and body so that I can just take on the world. Have a great day, Dale. Thanks for saying that, Shannon. I know you guys are here for me. If I knew how to put it into words, I would. I don't really entirely know what's on my mind, but After some processing, I can bring it to the group. Usually that's what I'll do, because like it's like a it's like a bill gets pushed, over a bunch of different desks. Everyone kind of needs to stamp it, right? Um, but the first person to look at it is me. I gotta evaluate everything and make sure I know where I stand, because my emotions and thoughts are complicated. And if I just share them with the group without processing them, I might give you guys a false representation of how I feel, or I might put my foot in my mouth. A lot of things could happen. So I always review all of the information that's coming into my brain before or I shouldn't say that, I try to. I definitely, I think it was sixth grade or seventh grade, at the end of the year in class, they gave me the Loose Lips Sink Ships Award. I was the kid that would be taking a test, and I would be so focused I would mess something up, and I would curse out loud in this silent classroom. I'd be like, "Fuck." I shouldn't have said that, but that's okay. Anyways, Loose Lips Sink Ship Award. That's me, baby. That's me. It is getting hot in here. I am way up in chat again, going down. Kathy Kewen, so generous today. Thank you. Religion has helped muddy the waters with setting boundaries, as martyrdom is seen as holy. Yeah, I don't think that we need to sacrifice. I don't know. I'm gonna stop that statement before I continue. Spanx, I have my tattoos I got when my mom passed, and my friend a few months later. I have had amazing and fanciful and numerous tattoo ideas, but I couldn't act on any of them until Tony passed. It took that kind of gut punch for me to really pull the trigger. Just Jen, what is going on? Welcome in. I'm glad you're here. Absolutely, CAG. And if you want to talk more about it, feel free to reach out to me on the email or whatever. And you don't have to or anything, but just know that I'm here. I'm sure that you have other people that you'd much prefer to talk to and feel more comfortable with. But if you don't, I'm totally here. All right. I have also 2 lost loved ones. Teeth need love too. Thank you, Jennifer. They really do. My it's getting there. It's almost healed up. And then what's today? The 23rd. So that means in 8 days, I'm going in for more work. All right, guys. I think it's a good place to end it. I want you guys to know that we've been averaging about 50 minutes to an hour. I would like to do about an hour and a half. For some reason, my gut tells me that that's a good number. 90 minutes is solid. And I don't know why. I have literally no reason to go longer other than I feel like it's a good idea and I can do it. So it's literally no skin off my back at all. So I will have to say, I know that, Kathy. I just didn't know. Kathy says I didn't mean to bash religion. I know. I just didn't know what to say without I didn't know how to be ambiguous and respond, so I just didn't. But I appreciate you. I want you to know that there's nothing personal. I agree with what you're saying. The words that I was going to respond with, I checked them and I was like, oh, that's not right. And then I stopped. So that's all. I agree with you. I didn't know how to express it. And also, your unending support. I appreciate you so much. You are the best. You're amazing. Yeah, I think so. Okay. All right, guys. Hit that like, subscribe, and the bell for notifications if you like what we do here. It certainly makes a difference. We're going to continue to walk this path, set some boundaries today. And also, I didn't mention this at all, real quick. You can set boundaries with yourself. And I guess that's also just otherwise known as self discipline, right? Today, I'm going to do this at this time. I'm only going to do this for this amount of time. And I'm going to make sure I have 3 square meals and do a little bit of exercise. It doesn't have to be a lot, but I'm going to make sure X, Y, Z, and P. I don't know why P came after Z, but whatever. So I set those boundaries with myself, and then I get to respect them with myself or not. I either keep to the plan, right, and have that self discipline, or I don't. And then I have to deal with how I feel about failure, or how I feel about setting goals and ignoring them, how I feel about setting goals and not achieving them, then I have a whole other mess to deal with, right? An emotional mess, which is now we've moved out of the logical, trying to fix my life, do better things, realm, and we've moved over into the emotional. I don't feel good about how I'm not doing good, and then it becomes real complicated. So just set the boundaries and then keep to them, with yourself, I mean, and set boundaries with other people. And if they don't want to respect them, they can take a hike and don't come back no more, no more, no more, no more. All right, guys. The Admiral will be live this evening at 7 p.m. Pacific time. One more time, hit that like, subscribe, and the bell for notifications. It certainly changes our lives over here. And that being said, Captain Calhoun out. You guys have a lovely day, okay?